the Mad Over Videos podcast. This is episode 29. Today we are being joined by Priya Patankar. She's the head of communications at PhonePe. Somebody who's had over 2 decades of experience across communications, both internal and external, uh, marketing strategy and demand generation. I feel we have a lot of things to learn from Priya and share and talk about. So without much ado, I'd like to add Priya to the conversation and get started. Welcome, Priya. Thank you for taking time out and joining us on the podcast. Awesome. So I just quickly ran through what I think could be defined as your journey, but then I know time you spent time at multiple organizations with different sort of roles as well. So why don't you give us a brief glimpse into how you've reached here today?
So I think Pranav, interestingly enough, 20 years back when I started, communications as a function, PR as a function existed, but Copcom as a consolidated function really didn't exist. My journey into Copcom actually started with writing. Very briefly, I was at IndiaTimes.com, and all I knew was I loved writing. That's how I sort of got into that role. My manager there moved to a telecom company. She sort of got me there. I remember when I joined, I was fairly clueless about how the Copcom space works. And my first assignment was to writing a press release. And I remember what a nightmare it was for her to explain to me, because I didn't come from a Copcom background at all. And it was a steep learning curve, literally, but had an amazing 3 years working across telecom companies, literally figuring out everything on about communications on the go. So I used to, by the end of those 3 years, actually, not only did I understand how to write press releases, understood how to sort of come up with a comprehensive strategy around internal and external comms, developing websites, writing white papers, working with product teams. I mean, it was just an incredible experience. Post that, I was working with Dr. Etty's for a while. I was handling internal comms there. Uh, at that point, I actually realized I'm interested in marketing and would like to work more closely with the marketing teams, which is how I sort of got into the demand generation slash marketing communication mix of things. And demand generation had just started. The function was taking off. This is a time when you actually send customers emails. Those were not only read, but customers reacted to mails and bought things of those mails which you send. Right
Yeah,
now, emails are such a blind spot.
yeah,
I mean, most of us just sort of categorize them as promo and otherwise and blind delete. This was a time when
yeah,
emails were sort of reacted to, and it was extremely interesting, sort of reaching out to customers using a new medium. Did that for a couple of years. I worked for a not for profit for a year. Again, a very very interesting experience. Post which I was at Flipkart. Again, I was in the CRM function, doing essentially what we call as demand generation, emails, notifications. Demonetization happened. I took an internal transfer to PhonePe. Was has been an amazing ride. So have do PR while also being closely associated with content and demand generation, essentially, which we call as CRM here, which is reaching customers through promotional communication. So I think it's been an extremely interesting journey. I think. And with all the functions I've managed, there's always so much to learn. Things are changing, things are going from print to digital. The pandemic has changed the way we work and communicate. So I think, yeah, no regrets there. It's been a long journey, yes, but looking forward to the next 20 years.
yeah. Awesome. So I think you just beautifully have created a nice segue for my next question. You've seen like how the medium has changed, or the medium of choice has changed from text to images to today to videos. My question to you is, why is Priya mad over videos?
Actually, Pranav, my first assignment when I joined my first job was to actually create an employee video. So, I mean, funnily enough, when I was sort of getting ready for this, I realized how clueless I was at that point. And we used to have these employee events. We had to
Hmm.
actually capture something which we had, which was a 48-hour employee event into a 5 or 7 minute capsule. So I
Correct.
realized shooting through hours of coverage and sort of getting it out to those perfect 5 minutes.
Correct.
So, and there are these videos were retained. We would look back, and those 5 minutes would actually over years give us joy. So I did
Correct.
realize how beautiful this was as a medium of communication. Right? There are reams you can write about something. I mean, I finally started my career as a writer, so I do understand how important writing is. But videos beautifully capture the whole journey and the whole story. So, though when I was doing it, I mean, just sort of clubbing into those perfect 5 minutes was such a nightmare. I'm not, I kid you not, for 2 months, I think I didn't sleep. I was just sort of looking through hours and hours of coverage to make sure we just get that right. So I
Yeah.
think it's a beautiful medium. If used right, I mean, there's so much you can tell in a video.
Right.
It can evoke emotions, drive you to drive the right right output for customers. There are a variety of ways in which you can use this. So I mean, what's there not to be mad about videos? So
Awesome. Uh, like you said, your first exposure was to create an internal video. This was at possibly your first job, right?
yeah.
But you've also had significant exposure to the medium of videos in different roles that you played in your journey. Let us pick the first role that you played, possibly at Alcatel Lucent, uh, I think you were taking care of internal communications there. As I think one of your first steps into the world of communication, rather, because you were doing other things before that as well. Uh, what kind of videos did you like do, and what were the typical challenges you faced when you were just starting out in doing videos?
See, I think the big I mean the big use case for us with internal comms was essentially you we were trying to integrate a workforce which was spread across. So I think one of the things which you strongly try to do with internal comms is communicate. See, this is a virtual workforce which was more virtual 20 years back. We are all connected now. Earlier, things were not so connected. Of course, there was the internet and email, but things were a lot more difficult. So you were trying to communicate the culture of a company, and you were trying to do this virtually to a workforce which was possibly spread across. So I think that's always a very interesting challenge, and culture is something you can only experience. It's very difficult to communicate through any medium. So, I mean, for instance, if a company strongly stands for empathy, and this is something you very strongly want every new joiner to imbibe. So, video becomes a beautiful medium to sort of show that, right? Or if you're talking about something like innovation, which is again, uh, experiencing it is much easier when you're working in teams where there are people who are doing great work. But again, possibly a video which is showing about how teams are working on unusual problems, how they are bringing that change about. It becomes a fairly interesting problem. And the interesting thing, as I said, is you're condensing a fairly hard to understand esoteric concept into
Hmm.
something which is small and resonates with your audience at the end of the
Right.
day. So I think as a young person, it was as I said, it was the fun part was you were shooting reams of use cases, and then making
Right.
sure that the 5 or 6 things you pick are the best ones.
Right.
So I think even with writing, right, you edit more than you retain. You
Yeah.
finally the the 1,000 word draft is just 50 words, which
Yeah.
which makes sense. It's very similar. It was a very similar experience with me also, and plus I was new. I mean, I was. also trying to figure out what are the how do you use it. We would also actually use besides internal events, even for external events, some of our product launches and product collateral, we would augment with a video. We would try and show essentially the workings of some of our products through a product video, which possibly made more sense rather than a lot more literature, which is difficult to consume for a first time audience.
Yeah.
So I think those were some of the really interesting things I did that, which also made me realize how much I enjoyed marketing. So it's not just the communications part.
Right.
I realize it's explaining a concept or a complex idea is something I enjoy. So which
Yeah.
sort of also led me to give a chance to demand generation and CRM eventually.
Right. So I think like you said, I know at the risk of sounding cheesy, I'd like to use the catchphrase that with great power comes great responsibility. Video is a powerful medium, but it's absolutely important that you get it right what you present, because as powerful as it is, it's very easy to skip a video today. I
Yeah.
mean, it's I don't know, it's the curse of a thumb, right? I mean, you're sort of at the mercy of a single swipe, and if you're in the whole demand generation phase, and you've thrown it as an ad on somebody's feed, it just takes matter of a few milliseconds to just like like go away, and then you no longer you're not going to get that back, right? So it's very important that you capture the person's attention when you're looking at demand generation, and specifically videos in demand generation. What do you think are key things that one must keep in mind when you come to communicate the right message and capture the attention?
I think onboarding is possibly underrated. You need to make sure the onboarding experience is flawless. I mean, I can't stress upon it enough because we're as consumers we are spoiled for choice. If my onboarding experience on an app is not perfect and great, there is nothing which stops me from just moving on. I think you
Yeah.
should over-index. It's like the way a guest comes home for the first time, and you just make sure everything is perfect. I would say it should you should just be obsessed about it. You need
Right.
to make sure that every touch point at which a customer needs help is available. Ideally, there should be no help needed. The product itself should take care of it, and your communication should take care of it. I think video has become a very powerful medium there. At any
Sure.
point where I'm stuck, right? If you can show me the right short, a short snippet of what I need to do,
Right.
it becomes really simple. Once
Right.
your onboarding experience is great, you've done two things. One, you have a really happy customer who's also going
Yeah.
to talk to four other people about it. You don't need brand evangelists and influencers to be paid. You can essentially you will have happy customers talking about, hey, how easy it was. Onboarding
Right.
was amazing, and my first transaction just flowed through. Post that, I think, of course, then it comes to retaining the customer, engaging with him, educating him, and blocking him, essentially enabling him when he's stuck. Those things come later. I would say over index on the onboarding. Do not assume because your app has been downloaded due to a great ad or a cashback offer, you've got your customer. No, that doesn't
Right.
happen. Most
Right.
customers are spoiled for choice.
Right, right, and like we've transitioned into talking about PhonePe. So I think there are at least three to four major players who operate in the category. I mean, there are a bunch of others as well, but then if you look at the top ones, like you said, it's very easy for me to just go to the next app if I'm not able to find if the experience is not good, if I can't find the option that I really look for, because most of these apps are I mean, they're configured in such a way that there are too many options right on the home screen, right? There is recharge, there is fund transfer, there is I don't know, ticketing and whatnot. Also scan and pay. That becomes very important, that if you don't find it right away, and if you don't find it very intuitive to use, it's very easy for us to, like, for a customer to sort of move away from that app, and maybe he's not coming back anytime soon. So I think what you said is extremely important. And let's pick a few of those use cases that you've told me about, and dig deep into those. The first one I'd like to talk about is the mobile recharge, whether prepaid
Hmm.
or postpaid. I think there are at least, again, all these major players offer the same experience, or the same utility rather. But what makes it different is the experience, right? And like, I would like to play this video, and then you can tell me how what went behind the whole strategy about coming up with these videos, or what kind of impact really it has created on your customer's journey. So
Sure.
I'll play the first video.
Recharge your mobile from the safety of home. Open PhonePe app and select recharge option. Enter phone number and select recharge plan. Pay safe with UPI PIN. Pay digitally, stay safe. PhonePe, करते जा बढ़ते जा.
So I think the inspiration behind this ad really, because if you notice, it's a stay home, stay safe kind of message, was a pandemic essentially. We had a lot of new to recharge users. Recharge is a very popular use case in general, and and we had a lot of new to recharge users. We wanted to educate them on how simple it is. If you actually look at the video, the flow is exactly mirrors what happens on the app.
Yeah.
It's as simple as selecting a number, you look at the best plan and you pay and you're done. It's possibly a 10-second or less flow. It's as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So the idea was we wanted to tell users how simple it is. It's really easy. Interestingly enough, people were not just recharging for themselves; they were also recharging for friends and family. So
Hmm.
recharge as a use case lends itself very easily to that community. I mean, I
Hmm.
recharge for my parents all the time. Very honestly, I recharge for my son also. So I essentially recharge for a bunch of numbers. So
Okay.
beginning of the month or middle of the month, I generally have a bunch of numbers I'm recharging for. It's very common behavior, right?
True.
Unlike possibly other use cases. So I
Yeah.
think the idea was we wanted users to realize how simple it is, how easy it is. This video is also used as a part of our onboarding flow. So what we do is we handhold a user the first few months through his journey of first few weeks, sorry, through his journey of downloading the app and setting it up. Set
Hmm.
up your link your bank account, set your UPI pin, try a recharge now. So there's a notification which goes out, takes him to a page which says, "Hey, here's what you need to do. Step one, two, three. Why don't you try it now?" So
Yeah.
the idea really is you try and induce a user to try it for himself. And
Correct.
as I said, see, once you onboard right and get them comfortable and used to using the most popular use cases, stickiness on the app increases.
Hmm.
So the insight for this was showing how really simple it is. It's as
Hmm.
quick as one, two, three, essentially.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, and we ran this during the lockdown and the pandemic, and we saw good customer traction. Users were viewing the video also. As I said, see,
Right.
once the video is mirroring what happens on the app,
Hmm.
it's much easier to relate. I find a
Yeah.
problem with some of the brands is the app doesn't mirror what the video shows. It's
Correct.
so different that you're
Yeah.
completely confused. So
Correct.
that's something
I
we
mean,
try and avoid. Yeah.
exactly. I was coming to that point where, if you're looking at a TVC by any brand, many a times it happens that what they show is a much more simplified user flow on the commercial, but when it comes to the product, it's a lot more complicated, and it's not going to be the same experience. So it's still difficult to find out where, okay, where am I going to, where should I
Yeah.
press, and I think what will lead me to the desired output that I'm looking for. But this video clearly does the same thing, like you said. It just mirrors the whole experience, and including the UI, everything is just the same. So I
Yeah.
mean, I can just pause the video if I'm somebody who didn't get it in the first go. I can pause the video and just have a look at the app and just possibly do the same thing, right? So
Yeah,
that's
that's the
that's
idea. Yeah, that's exactly the idea. I mean, you possibly get an inbox notification which is
Mhm.
asking you to do this. You pause it, do it step by step. And the
Right.
thing with recharge is once you've done it, you know, you it's simple. You
Right.
don't tend to get confused the next time.
Correct.
provided your base plan stays the same. And even that, it's easy enough to choose. You just see where you get the best data and deal, and
Right.
figure out
Right.
which one you want to go with.
Right.
Yeah.
I think interesting that you say that recharge is one of the most utilized services on the app. Again,
So after P2P, so essentially UPI transactions, send money is of course the big one. But you can also recharge via UPI pin. If you notice, the video talks about recharging using your UPI. So using
I
your
was
bank
actually
account
coming to that point because recharge has been popular as a e-utility. I think this it
forever.
you can track back to at least um, I think close to a decade, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen the early players that entered, the likes of ATM and Free Charge. Those were the days where uh, it was popular among college students and things like that. Otherwise, you would have to walk to a store, physically buy a scratch card, then enter that number to sort of redeem the call value, right? And it just made it easier again. But when the online services were launched, the payments were still done via debit cards and credit cards, and most of
Yeah.
us had the problem of uh, like, why do I give my debit card data to this app, right? Today, that has gone away with the advent of UPI, right? I want to play the UPI video, and you can tell me how well people have adopted this mode of payment, um, and I mean it's easy, right? It's very easy compared to all other modes of payment. But let me play the video and then we can talk about it.
Sure. So I think the idea behind this one, of course, was that we wanted to show how ubiquitous UPI really is. Interestingly enough, though, I must actually point out one thing: we position ourselves as what is called as a payment container. We're telling
Okay.
users don't just use UPI; you can also save your card. By the way, I have my card saved on PhonePe, and I
Right.
tend to use my card a lot because I don't want to remember my card numbers. I can't. I just remember the
Right.
CVV on a good day.
Right.
So I actually use my credit card also through PhonePe. You can save your credit card, you can save your debit card, you can also use UPI. The idea
Right.
there, of course, was that lots of times users assume that it's just for sending money. UPI is just for sending money. We wanted to tell them you can actually also pay at offline stores. You can
Okay.
recharge, you can pay for online purchases, you can do a bunch of things using UPI. So
Right.
the idea was to show the ubiquity of UPI
Yeah.
during the pandemic. Of course, adoption has been so much. I mean, so many users have actually taken to UPI that a lot more of them are aware. So this video is slightly dated, pre-pandemic, where we were trying
Right.
to show a bunch of things you can do. This is all you can do. All you need to do is, uh, key in your UPI pin and make a payment for whatever you want. Scan
Right.
and pay for an offline store or possibly an online
Right.
recharge, etc. So
Right.
that was the idea. Again, this is a video we use during our onboarding flows when we have to tell users, here's what you can do with UPI.
Right.
So
I
it's
like
like
to
a
also play
UPI button.
another video in that same flow, which is adding the bank account, which is a step
Yes,
prior to actually sort of
starting
the
to
event.
transact. Yeah.
Correct. So
Yeah.
because it's a series of things, and you'd look at possibly even ensuring that the customer consumes all these videos in that same order, because that makes it much more easier for them to sort of go through their journey.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It is serialized and goes in a flow. That's true.
Correct. So let me play that video as well.
Send money instantly to any bank account without IFSC. Open PhonePe app and select View Account option. Select Add Bank Account button. Select your bank and enter account details. No IFSC required. Enter the amount. Pay safe with UPI pin. Pay digitally. Stay safe. PhonePe. Karte ja, badte ja.
Right. So again, another thing that I'd like to point out in this video, the usage of the words. Again, I'm somebody who fantasizes about like good copy, right? It's hard to find, and when you want to give one key message to the end customer, and in this case, it's not just the ease of use, or the ease of sort of navigating the flow, but also the safety issue. I think I heard the word safe at least 3 times on that video, and it just registers in my mind that hey, it is safe, right? The first thing I'll take away is that UPI transactions on PhonePe, adding a bank account there is safe. How important it is to get these kind of small things right when you make that video.
I think, see, you have to over-index on safety. I mean, with digital payments, there's no doubt about it, right? However fast, cool, amazing I say a payment option is, unless
Hmm.
it's safe. I mean, I'm okay with some friction in my payment app. The pin codes I insert, the fingerprint reader, or the two-factor authentication, because this is all done to ensure safety. So I
Right.
think over-indexing on that is important. Communicating that is important. I think, as a brand, we make sure we let users know we are safe.
Yeah.
We also over-index on educating them about how they need to stay safe. There are a bunch of things we are doing, but at the same time, there are a bunch of things we would like them also to keep in mind while they are transacting on the app. So I
Correct.
think, yeah, I agree with you. Safety is something we over index on, and usage in videos, in CRM, and all our communication. You'd even notice in PR, I run a sustained campaign periodically in terms of educating users on safety. We have a blog where we have a bunch of blogs on safety. Those are very popular, by the way.
Right.
Very well read and shared. So
Right.
I think it's a conscious choice. Yes, I agree completely. One which we want users to be aware of.
Right.
We have your back is essentially the message. It's safe. We are making sure it's safe for you.
Correct.
So which is why, if you notice, insertion of pin comes in most of our videos, which is trying to reassure users it's there is friction which comes in to ensure
Right.
that your transaction is absolutely safe and private to you.
Correct. Correct.
So yeah.
So I think talking about education, I'd like to play the next video in line with the whole goal of educating customers. I'd like to spend a little more time on this because oftentimes than not, this is a category of videos and content which is overlooked by a lot of brands. They simply think that I know my product, it works really well, and I know that there is this problem. And sometimes the customer also doesn't know that they have a problem, right? You have to sort of educate them about the problem and the solution both. So, I'd like to talk about that topic a little bit more, but let's play the video first and then discuss
Sure.
about it.
ये रुको 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 दूर से भाई आजकल सब दूर से पेमेंट भी बस फोन पे स्कैन करो और डन
Yeah, so I think this is,
Yes.
of course,
So, how
talking
did this come
about.
out? Like, yeah.
No, no, go ahead. Sorry, yeah. You were saying.
No, I mean, how? First of all, education videos um, are typically people don't pay attention, right? Brands. Uh, it's possibly one of the lowest investments that a brand makes when it comes to this category. But you've hired Amir Khan to also do your education videos, which is again for people outside of India. If you're living under a rock and you don't know who that is, he's one of the most prominent and impactful Bollywood personalities, a film actor who has an influence on some of the largest and widest demographics across the country. And tell me about first of all the choice of having him be the face of the brand. Secondly, the character that is playing here, and thirdly, why as a decision from the team that was taken to have this person also be a part of your education videos and not just your TV commercials.
So I think one thing, Pranav, we've educated our users through the 4 years I've been here. I mean, honestly, we over-index on educating users around safe transactions, and there are a bunch of campaigns we run which have been popular. So we as I said, we do this through blogs. There is a sustained and continuous CRM effort we do. We try and tailor it to keeping it as simple as possible. There are multiple videos we've created on each use case and how users need to stay safe from multiple frauds. There are newer frauds keep coming, and we make sure we are on top in terms of educating users. So
Correct.
with this current campaign, essentially these education videos were a part of the overall brand campaign we run. Safety
Correct.
was one of the themes which we decided is going to be the theme for this brand campaign,
Right.
and which is how we came around using Amir and Shinde. There are a series of videos, even with Shinde, in which he's talking about a specific use case,
Correct.
essentially inputting your OTP, not reacting to fraud calls, not clicking on suspicious links. So there are a series of episodes.
Hmm.
Another
Hmm.
very interesting thing which our brand team actually put together around Dashra was they had a Faces of Fraud campaign. So there
Uh-huh.
they were actually, they were the 10 faces of fraud, which was around the Dashra campaign,
Correct.
where each face had a demon, and we were trying to tell users, hey, this is a cashback asur who's a demon who you need to be careful from. So we were trying to give it an interesting twist in terms of getting more users to react to it. So
Correct.
I think we, as I said, see, as a brand, we realize that safety is something which is critical and existential to digital payments.
Hmm.
Your,
Hmm.
however easy and good payment method will be till it's safe, you don't
Correct.
win the market at all. So I
Correct.
think as a brand, we've always focused on it. It's a part of our communication. I see us doing it. I know in different ways across different themes, using
Right.
different occasions to sort of resonate better with users.
Correct.
One thing I've noticed is with every successive campaign, at least with most of the CRM and content I'm running, I try and make it very, very simple. Because
Hmm.
every campaign, when I look back on, I realize it can be simplified further.
Right.
Finally, you have to, there are the three or four things a user needs to keep in mind. Can we simplify this even further, make it even more visual? So
Right.
every effort, if I look back on version 7 versus the version 1 which we started, I
Right.
always feel that we've simplified this more, made it more relatable and easy to remember and understand.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
possibly when we did version 1, there were 10 things we were telling users. Over time, we realized there are four key things if they keep in mind,
Right.
transactions become safer. So it's
Correct.
iteratively, I myself, when I look back, I realize we've made it much more simpler and relatable, which is what it should be.
Hmm. Hmm.
The problem with safety is it becomes somebody else's problem otherwise. It's
Right.
not
Right.
your problem as a user. If you start getting it,
Yeah.
you become a partner in the whole conversation. You
Correct.
realize there are just these three things, and they're all in my hand. That's all I need to do.
Correct. Correct. No, absolutely. I think you've spoken about the Holy Grail. Like I've seen a bunch of marketeers and even C-level executives who run their agenda when it comes to like the communication, whether it's a TV commercial, whether it's an explainer video, they want to stuff a lot of things in one single piece of communication, right? And like you said, it's very difficult for the person who's consuming it. First of all, you want to capture their attention. That is the most important thing. But once you've got their attention, also, if you're feeding them too many things, it is bound to happen that they're not going to get most of it. Because like it's hard to take away things because you're also sometimes distracted. You're watching this on your say your television, for example, and you get a message on your phone, or somebody is calling out from the kitchen. Things like this happen, and it's very difficult for you to get your points across. So if you're talking about 6, 7, 8 things in one single piece, it's not going to cut through. So it's very important that you focus on 2 or 3 key points and ensure that those messages are delivered. So I think kudos to you guys to have understood that and ensured that you practice that in all of your communications. You have separate messaging content for each message that you want to deliver, and don't try to like sort of cramp everything into one single video. So that is something I really like about you guys as a brand. But then I think not just about education, you've also used uh, like videos like commonly with most other people also do for launching new products about your platform, right? The product that I have picked here is the liquid funds, right? People in India today, if you look at one out of every 10 ads that come on your screen or on the television, you will see a mutual fund ad on like playing during a cricket match or a movie or whatever it is, right? And I think it's important. Basically, mutual funds as an investment vehicle itself is new, right? I mean, it's not new generally, like, but then if you're talking about the mass public, it's new for a lot of people. So it's very important that they understand one what that is, and I think the authorities around mutual funds have done like a very good job to ensure that enough educative content is created around investor awareness. But at the same time, it is also ensured that most of these platforms which engage in mutual funds, like which deal in mutual fund transactions, also have an onus on them to create such awareness. So I have a video that I like to play when you guys launched liquid funds on PhonePe, and then let's talk a little bit about that as well.
Want to earn higher returns on the idle money in your savings account? Introducing Liquid Funds on PhonePe. You can now earn up to double the returns and can withdraw your money anytime, instantly, without worrying about any minimum balance. Liquid funds are highly secure as they invest in government and bank securities and not in the stock market. On PhonePe, you can invest in liquid funds with as low as 500 rupees in less than 5 minutes without any lock-in. Here's how. Go to My Money section and tap on Liquid Funds. Choose between one-time investment or monthly SIP. Enter the amount you want to invest. Complete your free and one-time investment account setup. Pay the amount and you're done. That's not all. With PhonePe, you can watch your money grow daily. So be smart and grow your money with liquid funds on PhonePe. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Yes, Priya. So before you start telling me about this, I think I like the flow, first of all, of the video. It does three things. One, it first establishes the context really well, what liquid funds do essentially. Um, it tells about also it also talks about the fact that they don't invest in stock markets but invest in like more safer instruments, which ensures that your money is relatively safer, right, to park in this kind of a mode. And then the second thing it does is also it talks about how you can invest. It shows the exact flow, like we have spoken previously in the recharge use case, etc. It tells exactly how it will work on the app. And the last bit is to ensure that you throw in a line or two which captures that their attention. I mean, this is slightly like anti of what most people do. Like they try and throw in that lasso first and then they go to the this thing other parts of the video. But then you guys have taken this flow. uh, Tell me what went into making this, and what kind of response did you get after this video?
See, I think in general, investing, as you pointed out, is not very well understood. Mutual fund, while there was a sustained mutual fund Sahi Hai campaign which ran, it ran all across. There was some user education. There are still a lot of questions users have in terms of how do they go around investing. Liquid funds that way, I'd say, are a starter fund. They're easy to invest in. Essentially, your idle money can be invested in a liquid fund. Doesn't have a lock in. Uh, the usual apprehensions you have around, hey, stock market risk, I don't understand, I don't have too much money, those are taken care of. You begin small, you set up a SIP. I think video finally flows from the product flow and the product philosophy, which is born out of talking to enough customers and researching in terms of what is the gap this is essentially filling in the market. So I
Right.
think this is also trying to sort of get users used to the idea of investing.
Hmm.
Money lying idle earns 2x of what it would in a savings account. Then the big apprehension is, hey, when I need money urgently, what happens? Nothing happens. You can withdraw anytime you want. How do I get into the habit of investing regularly? You set up a monthly SIP. It's simple. Does the account take a lot of time to set in? No, it's simple enough. Uh, a lot of users on our app are new to investing. They're investing for the first time. These are typically the kind of questions and apprehensions they would have.
Hmm.
And this is what the video is just trying to sort of answer those questions in a easy to understand way, showing you the product flow to actually show you how simple it actually is to invest. So I think
Yeah.
that was really the idea, and liquid funds is one of our more popular investing options.
Right.
We've again used this fairly extensively in most of our onboarding and CRM communication
Right.
to sort of educate users on how they can go about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you notice, there are keywords which we've highlighted, kept it very sparse in terms of the content, so that there are key takeaways which sort of stay in your mind. You know, the
Correct.
fact that an SIP can be set up, there is no stock market risk, etc. The way you noticed, I mean, exactly
Hmm.
that was the idea. Just keeping
Correct.
it very simple, yeah.
Yeah. So bang bang on the buck. Like you guys were what you guys planned to do. I mean, it has just come through. So great job there. For the people behind the makers of the video rather. But I like to point out this that this is an observation I made. Most of the other videos that we've seen in this space, which is mutual fund investments, uh, are I mean have real people, real actors, etc. Right? You have influencers like the mutual fund Sahiya campaign had a bunch of influencers from the sporting field, from the I think they also had actors, etc., play different roles and sort of give the message. But interestingly, in this case, you all have used animated assets, right? You're using static and animated design assets. You're using. I didn't see a lot of characters there, but then a lot of iconography, etc., that ensures that the message is clearly uh, like understood, etc. So how's this? I mean, I want to take a peek into your head and your teams to understand how do you make that choice. A lot of times we consult with our clients at Guch when we help brands to create videos. This is the first question. Sometimes our clients don't really understand, customers don't understand whether to go for a live action video or an animated video. How do you go about making that choice?
See, I think while we have a brand team which sort of looks at the entire video flow very closely with the product team. Specifically, if I have to categorize this video, right, this is not a promotional video. This is more a
Right.
product video.
Right.
If it The idea here really is this is trying to make a customer aware about the product and also trying to get him to sort of onboard quickly. I'll tell you places where this video is used. It's used in our help center where we are telling users, do you want to understand how to use some of the PhonePe products? Look
Hmm.
at this video. So I think
Correct.
depends on what the intent of your video really is. If some videos are doing a sell job, some videos are sort of more on in the education sphere really. This video,
Right.
as I said, is a product video. I'm looking at more of a hand holding role I'm playing here rather than a sell play. I'm not trying to hard sell the product really. I'm
Okay.
trying to handhold the user through the journey of sort of trying this at all.
Right.
If you notice, I'm also telling a user 500 is all you need to invest to try this really,
Correct.
right? So I think depends on what the intent really is of the video, which sort of is the call you take in terms of the way you design it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here, I mean, as
I'm
I
really
said, the
happy with
yeah.
really happy with that explanation because this difference between the intent behind making that video is very important, that you understand that and then make the choice, because it's not random for people who are confused while choosing between a live action video and an animation video. Let's address that it is not a random choice to make. These things are designed to do very specific jobs, and one over the other is more effective in a certain use case. So like glad that you could explain that for the people who might be watching and might have the same sort of a question. But since we're talking about live action videos, we've played a bunch of animations, I mean product related videos for now. I'd like to also talk a little bit about brand in general, right? You guys have like like we already mentioned, you guys have Amir Khan as one of your brand ambassadors, and you also have Alia Bhatt, and then you all have created a bunch of videos around uh, it's a series rather of videos where there's a storyline, and once you get engaged in one, you sort of relate to that character. You want to see what they're doing next, and it's just like next time I'm watching something, I can relate it to the previous one. So it just makes more sense. So tell me more about how you all went about this whole thing, getting these guys on board, and even the choice of getting these particular influencers on board, because again, it wouldn't be random. As I said, the person that is being the face of the brand and the character both. We're talking about Amir Khan, Alia Bhatt as people who are being the face, and we're talking about the character of a police inspector. Why do you guys make these choices?
So I think again, as I said, the brand team's done a brilliant job of sort of identifying the right, faces for the brand. We've been working with them for a while. Um Strongly resonate with our brand, as individuals are on top of their field, are seen as doing great work, are also possibly in some ways icons of trust, which the brand wants to sort of evoke. I think the episodic treatment was more to give it a storyline, which you, as you said, is what users look forward to. You've seen the first one, and the second one sort of continues from there, and sort of the third one takes from there. The use of humor is extremely interesting. I think there are those one-liners which sort of stay with you. There are the small nuances, the way Shinde and Amir are interacting sort of stay with you.
Yeah,
So I think the idea was to show how in different situations you can use PhonePe while having two characters who sort of run across the theme of the brand videos. And yeah, I mean, they've been extremely popular. We've also run digital campaigns around this, multilingual again. One
yeah,
thing I think we didn't talk about at all, which I would like to sort of bring in here, is that in general, most of our communication is multilingual,
mm,
including help. Help is actually available in 8 languages, including chatbot. I mean, realized country of 1.4 billion, and we have so many languages. So I think at least we're making an effort to make it as inclusive and multilingual as possible. So most of our digital campaigns around brand campaigns also were multilingual. They were run in multiple languages on digital mediums. So I
mm,
think the idea, of course, was to keep it uh, to educate users on our use cases while keeping the humor element there. I mean,
mm,
rather than hey, scan and pay, there is a story which sort of
mm,
continues, and as a user, also you're engaged. You're waiting for what happens next. In
yeah,
the last
yeah,
episode, they spoke about scan and pay, and there was a one line about Amir Khan talking about Shalu, and then Shinde is surprised who's she, and then sort of continuing to the next one. There is this
yeah,
okay, what next sort of
correct,
theme to it. So I think
correct,
it was using the episodic treatment really worked. It was
correct.
extremely well received.
Absolutely. I'll play the video for people. so that they know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
The-
Especially, yeah. Yeah.
अपना फोन पे उधर चलेगा
चलेगा सर,
उधर
पक्का चलेगा।
और उधर
चलेगा चलेगा
और उधर
चलेगा सर, पर उधर
शालू के लिए
कौन शालू?
कौन शालू?
फोन पे क्यूआर से पे करो, गारंटीड कैशबैक पाओ।
right. And subtly you've also thrown in a guaranteed cashback. So I think it is a well-rounded campaign with which talks about all the necessary points that you really want to convey. But like you said, you all have also very well made use of the humor around the police characters, right? And typically they are funny. I mean, I can recollect one incident when I was consulting with one of our customers. I don't want to name the brand, etc. But then we were discussing about the treatment of a bunch of videos that we would produce for the brand. And I remember having this, and this is way before PhonePe released this series of videos with two police characters. And we had something similar that we were talking about. And it just sounded too risky for them. I mean, they did not want to like take the leap of faith, saying that hey, uh, police is also looked at in a very different way. I mean, sometimes the angle of corruption, it could be anything, right? The way society looks towards them, or even using humor. I mean, a bunch of meetings that we've had with brands where uh, it's hard. I mean, to sort of tell them that it's okay to push the limits. I mean, you're a business, and I'm talking about B2B brands, especially have this reservation where I don't know, for some reason they just want to stick to talking about features and things like that. But then eventually the person on the other end is also a human being, and they enjoy something on a lighter note. I mean, they oftentimes not realize, but there's so many things that even a B2B brand or a marketer could learn from B2C, because there's so many experiments and people push the boundaries to ensure that they can get their customers' attention. There's lots to like learn, and especially in B2B marketers, there's so much more that can be done for your brands, etc. So I hope people take inspiration right, from brands like you who are willing to push their boundaries to sort of experiment and you know what, like when you experiment, things work out, and you're happy at the end of it because you get the returns that you were expecting. I think that's when you realize that okay, whoever was telling me that, it was probably right. So kudos to you guys on that. Apart from that, I think we've spoken a lot about PhonePe videos, etc. I want to understand uh, what are the brands that you are watching today. The kind of videos that come out are so diverse. I mean, you're talking about musicals, you're talking about rap videos today. All brands are trying different sorts of genres for their communication. Uh, what are the brands that currently, I mean, you think are doing a good job in this space?
So I think bunch of them, especially I think in the pandemic, a lot of brands have gotten very innovative with the way we're talking, right? I mean, life has been so upside down that it's actually I've seen a lot of a bunch of really interesting. I like the Cadbury's campaign where they were talking around Diwali. They were talking about small businesses in general. I think the theme was resonating very strongly with all of us. We were seeing small businesses struggling. I saw a very similar campaign which HP had put out around helping and supporting small businesses. I actually saw an amazing ads. I saw the Apple work from home video, which I found hilarious. It was 6.5 minutes, and there were places I almost felt I was talking to my team. You know, we were, I think in March when the pandemic sort of hit, from March to maybe most of us didn't know what sort of how
Right.
to cope. I mean, we were without help, we were without a playbook, and people were juggling homes and You could hear see disaster in the kitchen happening while work was getting done. So it just resonated so strongly. I think I and my team were discussing, and we had named each of us when we were watching that video. And the interesting thing was the way they had plugged the products. It did not seem like they were selling anything at all. I think a lot of videos have done that. I was seeing a City and Mastercard video around Zoom Diwali, which seemed so like our families. I think people are sort of brands which are able to plug in products which without making it very obvious on what they are selling. They're not selling their product; they're selling the emotion, really,
Yeah.
right around a particular event. So I think uh, these are some of the videos I've really enjoyed. Uh, um, I even like the Burger King video. I think grilling 2020, in some subtle way, it resonated with what we were feeling with the year, getting rid of it and moving on to the next one. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I think since we've been talking about brands, I'd also like to ask you this: who are the people that have been inspiring you? These guys could be people from your previous work organizations. It could be your colleagues right now, or people from I think any brand today that you might be following on LinkedIn, etc. I personally discover a lot of content, amazing content from a bunch of people who like sort of stand out from the crowd when it comes to like you'll have a bunch of connections on LinkedIn, but I'm sure you will not recollect all the names, right? But there'll be people that you know that these guys are doing something different and unique and they stand out. uh, Tell me a few names that come to your mind, and this is the time to shout out for their great work that they're doing.
So, I think two colleagues I can think of top of the mind. There is Rashmi Soni. She was a colleague. She heads communications at Air Vistara. In general, I think the aviation industry has had a tough time. She's worked across industries as an out and out corpcom professional. When I started working, she was a colleague I looked up to. I always thought, I need to be like her. So, 20 years down the line, hopefully getting there. There's Ram, who heads Corpcom at Ultratech Cement. He was my colleague at Dr. Reddy's. Again, pharma PR is not easy to do. It was amazing to see him handle it so well. I think these two colleagues are people I actually look up to. I've looked up to over the years, kept in touch with what they are doing, and they've always been great supporters. Whenever I've done something well, they're the first people who sort of reach out to me. It's always very nice. I think in my current role, big shout out to my manager Rahul Kedia, who's taught me the magic of numbers. I think he most comms people are don't look at numbers, and that's one feedback he gave me, and I took it really really seriously. Look up to him for that. And of course, our CEO Sameer Nigam at PhonePe, who's an amazing communicator. It's always an education just listening to him. So I think these are people I actually look up to, and I think who've possibly taught me a lot of what I know.
Awesome. So I think we've had a very well-rounded conversation today. We are approaching the 1 hour mark, so I'd like to sort of bring this whole conversation to a closure. Uh, it's also that so happens that we are just a day away from like stepping into the next decade, leaving the infamous 2020 behind. So it's a season of gratitude. I think it makes a great way to end this on the gratitude that you've expressed to all these people and amazing people that you've worked with or are still working with. And I'd like to take this opportunity to also express my gratitude to you for ensuring that you took time out of your schedule. And again, as I said, this is the holiday season where you possibly would be spending a lot more time at home with family, but even taking out time from that and ensuring that you joined us to share your insights and thoughts with us, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you. I mean, I'm thankful you gave me this opportunity to have a conversation with you. It was a fun conversation, and I mean, I hope you and the rest of your team have a wonderful year, and please stay safe. Take care. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Priya. Once again, I hope you stay in touch and continue to be a part of the Mad Over Videos community. Engage in other activities and other initiatives that we are coming up with. And with that, for everybody else, we take a leave for the last time this year in 2020, and we hope to come back strong in 2021 with more amazing guests and more amazing episodes and more amazing conversations. So until then. See you guys.